earlier in my career, I would always try to think I needed to get everything across. I'd be writing an email and give you all the context, the background, and make sure people really had everything that they needed. And I think, why am I not getting the responses? Why am I getting more questions back? And nowadays, I'm the person that's getting those emails. And I've spent the last few years doing trainings in my team to say, right, to help me, can you communicate a bit better? And then to help the other seniors that you're communicating with. So I manage organizational restructures and operating model transformations, government transformations, multi-year, multi-million, like 100 million. So, and I've been doing this for 25 years. So I've learned a few tips and tricks, structures and approaches. And what I've kind of got today isn't necessarily kind of really in depth about specific senior stakeholder influence. I've kept it quite generic because I wasn't sure of the audience we would get. But feel free if you want to dive into any specific areas, we can. But also, I'm happy, I was saying to Kevin about doing, some further series of these going into specific areas. So today is I want to kind of get into that more communication through emails, through that quick elevator conversation, the presentations that we're pulling together. So let me share my screen because we did a little trial one and it seemed to work, and get this onto presentation mode. So 8 seconds. That's what you've got to get someone to pay attention, right? If they are not interested in 8 seconds, if you haven't caught their interest, something else is there. There's always something else. And when how many emails have you got in the last 2 hours? Anyone? Last 2 hours, how many emails?
Probably about 30 for me.
Yeah. So if you've got 30 in 2 hours, so you're looking over 100 emails a day. I'm going to sit and read every single one. You don't have that time. You're looking for what's most important. What do I actually need to pay attention to? And that's the same for anybody. So you've got to make sure that first 8 seconds hits hard. So something which has always stuck with me, has anyone heard of the 3-33 framework? You have 3 seconds, right? So 8 seconds is, someone's looking to stop. But when you are planning, whether it's an elevator pitch, an email, a presentation, 3 seconds, get that first 3 seconds. Someone knows exactly what's going on, right? It's not, I want to talk about how we're doing on the client account, which I think there's some issues, but I'm not really sure. And I think we might need you. MOJ client, got some issues, need your intervention. You good? Right. And then that 30 seconds, so you've got the permission in that 3 seconds for the next 30 seconds. That gives you that open door. So that next 30 seconds, that's your opening paragraph, your verbal pitch. What's the context? What do you need from life? Not the background, not all the history, not how did we get here, why does it happen, but okay, client's got this issue, need your approval, right. Give them that. I have clients unhappy with the performance on this contract, so on and so forth. Give them that meat on the bones, but keep it lightweight. And then that gives you the permission for the next section, that 3 minutes, right? That's where your full email comes in. But again, if it can't be read in 3 minutes, so all in all, you're looking at less than 5 minutes for someone to say yes to it, understand it, read it, and write their response. That's what you want to be doing. So I'm going to come off of screen share, and I'm going to share with you. Sorry, wrong order. I get quite into my head. So that 30-second ask, 1 sentence. What do you need? Just name it. How many people get a little bit worried about just going up to someone soon and saying, this is what I need from you? Do you feel like you need permission to ask for their help? You give a little bit of a ramble? No one? Brilliant. You don't need this course then. You're fine. You're all good.
I see this a lot in the emails from my team that I review, and I'm just like, just cut to the point.
Yeah,
Get rid of
you
all that
don't
crap.
need all of that. If you're in the job, you've already got permission to be asking for something. You know, you're there. That's enough, right? That is your permission. So it's straight into it. Forget the British politeness and small talk. I'm autistic. I hate small talk. Put your mind in someone autistic. Just don't do the small talk. Straight in. Why should they care? Why do you care? What does it matter to them? And this is something when we get more into influencing the client and stakeholders, it's not about you. What's their agenda? What's important to them? What's the impact on them? And we can talk about this in business value. We can talk about it in terms of profit and loss. We can talk about the client impact. Why do they care about what you want to talk to them about? Because if it's about you, are they going to listen? Not a chance. And then from there, name what you want. I see so often, I'm interested to how people put out that there's a problem, but they haven't really made it clear what they're asking for. There's a bit of a, so you're the senior person, how do you want to go about it? What do you want to do? Name it. I need your approval. I need you to look at the options. I need you to go and speak to somebody. I need you to intervene. Name it. Don't try and make them guess what it is that you want. And I've kept this quite generic because I'm still trying to gauge where people are at. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up an email. Oh, sorry, please. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to check something. So you know where you say name what it is that you have or what it is that you want.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but I always feel like there's this, it's perceived to be a thin line between you being overly assertive and direct, which might rub people the wrong way. But I look at it as, well, the decision needs to be made.
Yeah.
Because it's going to avoid X down the line, or it's going to impact A down the line. And why are we beating around the bush? Everyone's thinking about it. We know we need a decision. So I'm always very wary of how assertive or direct I need to be when I need a decision to be made. Because again, it's all that connotation of, you're in a team or you're working with a different kind of stakeholder, managing all those emotions, managing how they are. But at the end of the day, there's a goal to deliver. I'm not being funny. There's a goal to deliver. There's a collective thing that needs to be done. And we can't sit on one single source of failure because we're worried about how too open or non too open or transparent the communication channel is. Because at the end of the day, will it get done is the ultimate. You see what I mean? So I find myself struggling with that. And I don't know if it's just me or if I'm just overthinking it or if I should always just go with my gut and just put it in a very diplomatic and polite way, but still just say, at the end of the day, I still need you to decide.
Yeah. Two things there. But first, I'm going to answer your question, and then I'm going to pick up on the way you just couched that, the latter part. So remind me to come back to that. So the first bit is one of the biggest reasons we have delays, and also why people are overseeing for promotion, is because we don't ask for what we want, for what we need. Right? So the second part, why it matters to them, it's going to give you that doorway to say, and this is what I need from you. We have so many delays because people are trying to get decision by committee, where people are beating around the bush and deciding who it is that needs to action something. Because you go out of a meeting and you haven't got a specific action owner and you haven't got a specific timeline, you send an email and you don't have an ask on it, that's just for information. You haven't achieved anything and you're just going to go around again. Right? That is going to cause you so many delays. I see so many people overlook for promotion because they haven't been clear enough and assertive enough with driving what they need, because they're seen as compliant, they're middle of the road, they're just getting stuff done, but they're not driving it. right? Have any of you ever been told, oh, you need to drive things more, you need to take more ownership, more leadership? I used to get that all the time. And it's that I know what I need and I'm going to ask for it because by damn, I have permission by existing. Right? So really do stop worrying so much about offending people, because you're going to offend more people if you don't get the shit done. Excuse my language. I wanted to pick up on the second bit. Near the end, you do something which I still have to stop myself doing. And I've been trying to stop myself doing this for a decade. So if you figure it out, let me know. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? That self-doubt, that questioning comes across. So when you're asking for something, when you are driving something, when you want to lead something, you're saying that you don't have confidence in yourself. And I still do it, right? It's no perfect thing, but getting that habit, and I see so many people do it, of saying, of validating whether people have understood. Say what it is you need. Done. Let there be silence. If there's a silence in a meeting, does it make you feel uncomfortable? Good. Watch in your next meeting how many silences there are and how quick people are to fill them. Silence makes people uncomfortable, but it also gives a time to reflect and to plan your next move. Move sounds a bit strategic. You see what I mean? See, I did that there, didn't I? Having that clarity of intent, putting it why it matters to them and specifically what you need, drives it straight home. I, as a leader, I will have teams of 12,000 people. I will have budgets, programs coming at me all over the place. I need someone just to tell me what's going on. And I don't care if you're 6 layers below me or 1. You've still got a job to do. And if you're sending me an email or doing a presentation that just gets to it, I'm going to love you every day of the week. Right? That need to fill the void, to validate yourself, to ask for permission, doesn't help anybody. So yeah, as I said, the bottom of the slide, stop, do not fill that silence. My manager, when I joined Hewlett Packard, it's the first time I really had someone do that. We would be in a one-to-one conversation and he'd just be silent. And I sat thinking, oh, this is weird. And you go to fill it. You don't need to. You never need to fill that silence. Does that help give you a bit more clarity on that one? Is there anything else you want to follow up on that? So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to bring something up because I tried flipping between them and failed. Because I run on an Apple MacBook Air, and I found that it doesn't work in the same way flipping through things on Teams. So it gets really annoying. So can you see just this email? Yeah. There we go. It's kind of email to write however long ago. Is that, what's your initial thoughts on what, if you sent that or get that, or
What do you want?
yeah,
It's a lovely story, but
oh, it's a great story. It's all true. It's all true.
Is it the ask is like the bottom line?
Yeah, you've buried your ask.
Yeah.
And am I going to get that far? I don't even know how urgent it is from the subject.
Now that I've seen the question, I'm having to read it again to work out what parts of that story I need to know to answer the question.
Yeah.
Because I was the whole time I was looking for the question and not even reading the 3 paragraphs before it.
It would have been better as bullet points. 1 line context, 1 line the ask, 1 line when can I get the decision. I'm done.
Let's rewrite it now. First thing I always have, action. Is it for action? Is it for info? Is it urgent? Every single email I send will have one of those. And then I just know. So this one, let's say it's not too urgent, but it does need a decision. So I need an action. You could say, put it all as action if you prefer to put it out in full. And then we've got, so the subject really is
Approval.
contract amendment approval required. I'm feeling really nice. I'll put a date. What's it today? 23rd. So let's say we've got a week. So let's say 30th of July. Yeah, let's do it. There we go. 30th of July. So you know straight away, this is an action email. I've got a contract amendment needs my approval. Yeah, absolutely. We'll share the slides. And when by? Clear. Hi, sir. I don't care if you've had a good weekend. I'm just doing small talk. Get rid of it. You can do that when you see them at the coffee machine. Really. So what's the ask here? We've got contract for X client has overrun on time and budget. Need approval. Need for additional, what are we saying in this? 3 months and 700K. Ask done. Right. So if we think about the previous slides, so what you need, why it matters to them, what do you want them to do, you can apply it in a similar way. So what we need them to approve the you could almost put this bit first if you wanted. I will often rewrite these things multiple times, you know, so this is going to be a rough and dirty, but I will write it, and if it's a really important one, come back to it a bit later. Leave it in my drafts. Don't send it straight away if you're a bit nervous. Is it right? So need your approval for additional 3 months to 3 months duration and 700K and contract value, total contract value for X client. Yeah, so it's even made it even more to the point. Clear? Straight off. Do you think if you saw that in your inbox, even just that first bit, you're like, okay, I know what I need. It's not Barry. Then, so why does it? All of this bit, do you know what? Do they really care about the whys and the wherefores? No. Right? Do they care about this? No. So, simple version. Just say, if I go back to, I'm trying to remember what I actually wrote. So, they know we've got a vendor review. I know look at timelines. So, contract complexity is higher than anticipated. In order to get quality tenders, and we need additional time. Process. Right, so it matters to them because they want quality tenders, right? They want to get a good response. Initial draft proposals. You would have had like a presentation, vendor presentations. There we go. Presentations indicate solution will likely be more, you know, I wouldn't say more expensive. I'd work out the wording. We can reduce scope. However, in order to meet critical objectives, recommend contract budget amended accordingly. Right, straightforward. Now, some of you may be thinking, but there's so many questions there, right? Why is it taking much longer for the tenders? What scope could we reduce? Why is it more complex? There are lots and lots of questions, but you don't need to answer them straight away. There's a tendency to make sure we've covered everything. And I've had CIOs that you need to cover everything, right? But you can do that after the body of the email. But majority of the time, they just want the critical information, and then they can come back and say, right, I want to know X, Y, and Z or not. Slightly different in the PowerPoint presentation, but you're having a conversation usually there. So this one, you know, that's it. Do we need to talk about this? No. And then appreciate your attention and approval by end of day 30th July. Bold. Put that in bold. If there's a deadline, put it in bold. Kind regards. Comments? Are any of you writing your emails like this now? Or do any of you recognise the first one?
I write mine like this now.
Good. Keep doing it.
Which is what I've dovetailed into. I feel like, you know, sometimes it might be perceived as a bit too, you know, assertive, a bit too aggressive, but I'm not being funny. People, that decision makers are busy, and I need my decision made sooner rather than later. So
Exactly.
everybody needs to chop and get to it.
Yeah.
I think, like Hannah says, this isn't the only time you're ever going to speak to this person. So all those other scenarios, you can build the relationships, you can be their best friend, you can ask about the kids and their holidays. If you need to get shit done, you need to get shit done. Yeah,
exactly. You've got so many other opportunities to build the softer side of things, to build that necessary connection, so that when you do say, right, we're kind of cutting through the crap, they get it, right? But this is done in a couple of minutes now.
Hannah, you might not have needed to, because you've developed, you know, the ability to kind of naturally write this tone of email. But do you think this is something that somebody could set up like an AI agent for, where they could type in what they want to say and then just kind of get the AI to go tone of voice?
There are a lot already.
Pull out the action, the ask.
So there's a lot of existing apps, like Grammarly is one that you can integrate, which will help you with the way you word things. And there are AI agents which are already set up, and it will just take it. You just brain dump, and it will create something like this. I haven't been using them because I tend to do it like this, but I've started using things like Grammarly and whatnot just to tighten up the wording a little bit. But yeah, I think that's a really good recommendation, Kevin. Changes things a lot when you have access to all of these. So let me go back onto the close. Let me get stop present and share it. Right, so I've done that. You know, my mouse goes the wrong way. Why is it? Let me go back. Right, so presentations. If you like doing slides. Does anybody enjoy making slides?
I don't know
What's your
about enjoy, but I make a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, you do, don't you? It's a funny thing. I started off in civil service and we had Word documents. Everything was these long Word documents. And I moved out of civil service and was like, oh, okay. So we're doing everything in PowerPoint now. I'm doing a business case in PowerPoint. I don't understand. Appendices are where it's at. That is where I put a lot of my detail when it comes to PowerPoint. Because there's PowerPoint culturally, I've noticed for quite a few organizations, has become a reporting mechanism. It's not necessarily just for an actual presentation. But if you put all of that data in the slide that you're trying to get somebody to understand, they're not. They're not. So I will keep that deck as light as possible, and I'll put hyperlinks in from each slide into the appendices. Always, always, always have those appendices. So when you're doing this slide, it's taking that time. What do I want this to say? So again, little before and after. It's so yes, because I did a little embed thing. This is true, right? If I send this as pre-read though, how do you think it's going to be perceived? Do you know what's coming? Do you have any time to consider it? Not really. Everyone does their slides differently, right? Everyone has their own preferences. This is just a generic way of doing it. Everyone will have their own. I will always have on the top of a slide. Is it for approval or is it for awareness? It helps so much. Does anyone do that at the moment? If there's one thing you start doing, do that. That and the subject line of emails, info, act, approval, or urgent. This tag on a presentation has helped so many people. I've watched it. I didn't invent it at all. I nicked it from someone else, but it's a really useful. So on the previous slide, we had all of this as kind of stuff going on. Was actually, if they want to know more, how much is the revenue up, and where are we at on our NPS? What's the trends and stuff? Appendix. Put it all in appendix. You don't need it here. So that we're up by 3%, we're down by 1%. That's your voiceover. And if they're reading it as pre-read, they can go into the appendix. Stop clogging up your slide. What you want from this slide is you want approval on these 3 issues and risks. That's the purpose of this slide. We've got Q3s large on track, but I need you to do this. That you've cleared your way so much more. And if they're seeing this as a pre-read, they've got time to think, am I all right with that? I'm just going to speak to the business manager and, are they really sure that they can absorb this in the business? And, why did we take this on this way? Why did we increase the headcount? Didn't we increase the headcount before for the help desk? They can think about that beforehand. You're not buried the ask. Not said, we'll deal with it in the meeting. It never gets dealt with in the meeting if you haven't given them forewarning of what's coming. This is why we do all, you have a board meeting, you go and speak to all the board beforehand. Never raise something for the first time at the board meeting. This is similar. So having that really clear, this is what we need. Put everything else in appendix. Does anyone use appendix much at the moment? Good, lots of nods. That makes me very happy. Right, this is where we're going to use the breakout rooms. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8. Perfect. So can we do 4 breakout rooms, 2 in each, Kevin?
Yeah, I think we've got 9 people, so we just.
Oh yeah. So 2, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So do you want to do 3 3s, or do you want to do 3 2s?
Oh yeah. Do 3 3s. That's probably better. I can't do math today. Not today. So pick an email you sent in the last week. Just pick something up and then rewrite that opening line, or first line sentence of a presentation or a business case, or a verbal ask for something. The 333 is something I always prepare for whatever project or whatever big client initiative I've got going on, in case I run into someone in the corridor, someone that's not usually on site, somebody that I would never dream of having them to myself, having that pre-prepared. So you can just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm working on this, rather than just a silence or ramble. 8 minutes, write alone, 2 minutes share in pairs, and then come back and share with the group. So there we go. 3, 6, 7, 8. How do people find that?
I'm implementing it now. I'm trying to send an email, so I'll let you know how to use
What they came up with? Befores and afters?
I think from my perspective, it was quite helpful to think about just generally structuring comms and information for people, kind of for the different stakeholder groups as well, like how to land different messaging. It's kind of looking through my emails. I think my emails possibly kind of are quite direct, although definitely I think there's some fluffiness that can probably be stripped out. And I'm another one who always says, kind of, if you know what I mean, like, if you understood what I've just said. And I always hit myself every time I say it. I'm like, stop. So yeah, I think kind of looking through probably like verbal conversations, kind of getting my point across quite quickly. It's definitely something to reflect upon.
And scripting it in advance. I made a joking reference about being autistic, but what that does mean is I script everything in advance when I'm engaging with people. Every single project I've got going on, if I'm going through budget approvals, I've always got lines in my head and I've always gone through the conversation. So it's probably way more than most people will need, but it means that I've got what I need to get across ready in my head. I'd really recommend that. Anyone else? So
Did anybody have something they have written that that clearly was similar to Hannah's example, where you looked at it and gone, oh yeah, I do that?
I'm employing Indeed at my next job.
I shall stalk you on LinkedIn, Hannah. I promise.
So I have got a one-pager which summarises this. So I'll get Kevin to send that out, and then you can have that as reference. I did put the first thing I put in the chat was mainly for Kevin. It's an organisational network analysis. So it's looking at how information flows. But the second one people might find quite useful. Those that are talking about influencing stakeholders and dealing with resistance. It's a framework model, might just be useful to have a quick look at. And if anyone's not come across Umbrex, they have, it's like a little cheat sheet handbook that you can use to reference different models and frameworks. I use it because I do a lot of organizational transformation, which comes across all of the different sides of this. But it's worth just spending a bit of time familiarizing yourself with what's there and which ones might be useful to dive into. We can always do a session on some of those. I appreciate this has been quite generic, quite high level. I said if I'll speak to Kevin about what the need is for other ones, kind of more diving into specific areas. Are there particular areas people really specifically want to get into, whether it's like face-to-face difficult stakeholders or other areas? What are people really struggling with? We can touch on next time.
I'm not sure if it's within the remit, but potentially taking different stakeholder groups through change who are quite resistant to change.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you got a nice meaty one there.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. And so when you say different stakeholder groups, give me some examples. What are those groups?
possibly kind of different kind of capabilities within a team. So where you've got sort of your delivery managers, business analysts, product owners, test dev, trying to kind of restructure the way some of those people kind of work and their processes, when some people might have actually been in that environment for 20 years and like, we're happy with the status quo, like we don't want to change. Like, how do you get different people to be enthusiastic and really buy into the change and be passionate about it? Because I found that lands a lot better than a tell of like, you have to do this.
Yeah, so our own delivery engine, our own organisation that we need to modernise to get them to come up to date, right, perform better. And you're right, a lot of organisations, you'll have people that've been there for ages, or you'll have people that do things in a certain way or like a specific technology. So yeah, we can definitely go through that. Anyone else?
Just to dovetail on that as well, is then once you then get them accepting that change is coming, how do you then manage the ongoing comms?
Okay.
Focus that the change is not bad, it is coming, and this is the expectation. And another difficulty I have, again, going through the scenarios of Verity provided, is when I'm in a meeting with different people, it's me trying to make sure everyone is heard, but then keeping it focused on the objectives of the meeting. Because once people start talking, it then tangents into, oh yeah, by the way, have you thought about it? No. This is what we're here to talk about. Can we just focus on this? I know all the other bits, sort of come back to the objective of why we're here. And it's something that we can do. So sometimes I find myself, we're already thinking about the solution before we actually understand why we want the solution. And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I think.
But again, like you said, because these people that's how they think individually to address a problem, is trying to bring everyone back to, okay, so yes, this is the goal. We're very clear on what that is. However, this is the first step to get to that goal. Can we just focus on that for now? And I find it, sometimes I feel like, okay, I just need to rein it in, because people just be like, you're like a teacher with a stick. But I just feel like that's the only way I can actually get them to focus. And at that point in time, based on where we are, that's what we need. I need them to focus.
So chairing meeting.
Yeah.
And that's important. And see, I think that's actually worth a session in itself, is chairing effective meetings. And just one thing I would leave you with is, why does everyone need to be heard? And do you have the right people in the room, or are people just there because they don't want to be left out?
Yeah. The one that strikes me is probably more on influencing. So a lot of the content today has been based around the premise that you have a direct reason to ask them to do something, and there's an assumption that you're asking for a perfectly reasonable request. But what about when you're pitching something or proposing something new, and how do you get buy-in and influence? And I guess that's probably multifaceted. It's not just in the meeting, it's the things you do before the meeting, the relationships you build, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, relationship building, networking across an organisation, sponsors and mentors, and what's the difference? And how do you get them? Yeah, we can absolutely cover this. On the resistance to change, has anyone heard of Prosky's ADKAR model? Awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement. So this one is not one we tend to pick up much in tech. I would look that up. We could always come back to that one. Is a useful model for a lot of what we were just talking about influencing stakeholder groups and so on. But yeah, we can pick up on all of those different areas, Kevin, in other sessions. I think there's multiple different ones there.
Cool.
Hopefully, helpful. I know it's quite generic. I just wanted to start with a kind of baseline and see where we went from there.
That's been great. Thanks, Hannah, and bang on time. So thanks everyone for taking an hour out of your lunch. Really appreciate it. And if you've got any other ideas, thoughts on topics that kind of sit nicely alongside this, that we can see if Hannah or anybody else wants to come and lead on, just let us know.
Thank you, Anna. It was really helpful. Have a good afternoon,
Thank
Dan.
you.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
Session was simple, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah.